Good morning, Drew. It's just me today? Yes, just you. It's about your whole Apple Pencil with Vision OS idea. Oh, yeah, is that too hard? No. Oh my god, it's so easy. It just made a lot of sense, Drew. That was a very good idea. Yeah, thanks, Tim. And because it was such a great idea, we would like to hear some more ideas from you specifically. What do you think we should do in regards to expanding our product lineup? Are you sure you want to open this can of worms? No, absolutely not, but I at least want to hear your ideas to see if any of them are as good as that one. Well, I think I can narrow it down to 3 markets that you should consider jumping into. Oh my god, I just thought you were gonna say 1. 3? Okay. No, Tim. Okay, no, you've already been in 1. I've got notes. Number 1 on the list is one that people have been asking for, I think, for decades, and maybe you're not going to be interested because you're going to say, no, Drew, spatial computing and Vision OS is the future, but I still think it's going to remain the future for a while, and there's lots of televisions in production already, and I'm just sick of the stupid Apple TV box thing. Especially whenever Apple is talking about tvOS at DubDub, they always have these flawless, perfect TVs that don't have any logos and have perfectly symmetrical bezels all the way around. Sometimes they even put lighting behind them, which some TVs could have like little ambient light around the edges. I want Apple to make a television, okay? Even in 2024, yes, I know, it's been a long time. A lot of people asking for it, but truthfully, there's a lot of households where people all wearing Vision Pros, it's just not gonna work. I mean, Optic ID, I'm pretty sure is not good for children under a certain age. People still want to have movie nights with their kids and stuff like that. And I just know that if Apple designed one and it ran tvOS out the box and just had little tiles on the home screen that said HDMI 1, 2, and 3, they would have better integration than anybody. And there's so many use cases now where TVs are coming in handy within the Apple ecosystem, whether it be Apple TV Plus, Apple Music Sing, Apple Arcade games, or doing FaceTime calls with the big screen. There's so many people that are out there having to fuss around with these stupid little black boxes, trying to hide them in their TV console stands and trying to make little mounts to put them on the back of the TV, fussing around with all of these additional cables. And I know Apple's better than that, okay? They pioneered the whole all-in-one concept with the iMac. I don't want to have a tower with a cable going to a monitor. I just want to take it out of the box and it just works. And I'm still annoyed, yes, even in 2024, that Apple has not gotten around to bringing that philosophy to a television where, sure, I'm aware it would be expensive, it wouldn't be the cheapest TV out there, but I bet it would be the simplest and the most convenient to just, you buy it, you pull it out of the box, you set it down, you plug it in, and boom, it just boots up. You get a little pop-up on your phone that says, do you want to sign into this TV with your Apple ID? Boom. I bet it would have the best viewing angles, the best color accuracy. Yes, it would probably be expensive, but that hasn't stopped Apple before. I mean, no one was probably going to be on board with the idea of Apple making a $6,000 PC monitor, but they ended up doing that because they were like, well, we think it would be good with our hardware. Well, I feel the same way about a TV. Maybe it'll be a $5,000 or $8,000 television, but it would have better software than anybody else in the business, and I just really love the idea of having a TV set with a Siri remote, and that's it. You just have that one remote to control volume. Of course, it's still going to have a A15 or at this point an A17 chip on the inside, so it's really powerful. It's got some neural cores, so it can have some stupid AI feature crap and all that. I'm sorry, it's just if Apple's willing to go into the $3,500 headset space, then in my opinion, it's not that crazy to just make a premium TV. People would buy that. Next is something that they've gotten out of that I wish they would kind of get back into and double down on, and that's networking devices like their airport capsules. They had local backup storage, which was really cool, and really great router capability. So you could just plug in your internet service provider to these little airports, and boom, Apple now had control over the Wi-Fi network, and that brings all kinds of advantages. I'm sure that could be accessible for iCloud home secure video, and this sector I think could be expanded upon more than just networking ports and stuff like that, but also just smart home accessories, whether that's smart light switches or security cameras. Apple already has a bunch of cameras in their supply chain for iPads and phones. Imagine if they got into, doorbell cameras and exterior and interior security cameras, which right now they kind of offload onto third parties, and then you kind of hope that those third parties keep updating the firmware, but then you got to download an app specifically for them. You've got to make an account with them, and then you hope that the whole HomeKit compatibility thing goes smoothly. I've had too many negative experiences with third parties that claim they support HomeKit HomeKit, but then they get bought out or they go under or they have firmware issues. And I think what a lot of us enjoy about the Apple ecosystem is just the simplicity of everything is operated and controlled by Apple. It all just works seamlessly and smoothly. And I think I'd be much more on board with a lot of smart home appliances and accessories if Apple was in control of the entire experience. So I didn't have to download an app. I didn't have to set up an account with a third party. They keep falling back on, well, you should just buy this third party provider that says they support HomeKit, but then the experience always feels worse. It always feels compromised. And I think this is a segment of the market that would probably flourish if Apple decided to enter it. So that's number 2 is networking, the airport extreme days, bring those back and then double down on it with home security and smart home accessories, because we know that if they're coming from Apple, they'll probably last a lot longer and we don't have to get new accounts and new apps. Thirdly, yes, is one that I've been asking for a long time. In fact, I started a whole separate YouTube channel because of how passionate I am about this industry. But yes, I think Apple should get into electric vehicles. Even though they canceled Project Titan, there are lots of electric vehicle startup companies that have diminished in value quite substantially because they can't all necessarily get the funds they need to start production, which is rather expensive. But Aptera in particular is my favorite company at this point of all time, just because of how innovative the design is and how much emphasis they put on efficiency and safety simultaneously. Huge crumple zones from the rear and from the front. There's still airbags. There's side impact protection. The entire design is basically made of carbon fiber. In fact, if you're curious, I'll be checking out the Aptera factory in a video on Tailosive EV in a not too distant future and seeing some of their new production intent components. So they're making great progress towards entering mass production, and they need less money than any other electric vehicle startup in order to achieve profitability, which I know is very important for Apple. Apple's also trying to win over a lot more hearts in regards to being more repairability friendly, and Aptera is a right to repair focused company that is trying to make sure all of their parts and components are accessible to the masses. They plan on uploading tutorial videos on how to service every part of the vehicle. So if Apple just dropped $1 billion or $2 billion on a brand like Aptera, it doesn't have to be a buyout, it could just be a collaboration. Apple could integrate their state-of-the-art CarPlay and infotainment systems, also their super efficient silicon, so they could make a vehicle like Aptera super efficient in regards to the interior displays and the central processors that are powering everything. And then you have a super aerodynamic design that's twice as efficient as any other EV on the market. And when you're that efficient, that's when the solar cells start to make a lot more sense on the vehicle, so the car is capable of charging itself 30 to 40 miles of range per day, which covers the daily driving of most Americans. And of course, that's just their first vehicle. So if Apple got involved, they could also have a lot more control on their second vehicle, which would have 4 wheels and more seats and more doors. So Apple would still feel like they get some control in the design space, but they get to enter the electric vehicle market with something unique, something different, something more iconic, instead of entering the market with just another Tesla clone, which is so much of what EV startups do these days. Just like Xiaomi, just like, hey, here's our version of a Porsche. No, Apple likes to stand out in some way. They need some feature, they need some selling point that differentiates themselves from the rest of the market. And I think the solar charging with the huge efficiency emphasis would be a match made in heaven, because Apple has always been about this whole performance per watt thing, and Aptera aligns with that really, really well. And they intend to have CarPlay on their vehicles anyway, so it's like they want to play nice with Apple. I just wish Apple would play nice with them. The main reason Apple doesn't want to get into EVs is because they struggle to see how profitable it can be, because the automotive industry is known for having very thin margins, and Apple, of course, doesn't like that. So why not go with the EV startup that has the quickest path to profitability, because it requires less money to build that vehicle thanks to its carbon fiber composites, no paint shop, less wheels, less doors, less seats, less money to worry about to get it up in production, and they've already got the supply chain in place. So Apple doesn't even have to worry about the manufacturing. They just basically write a check to Aptera. Aptera does all the work, and then Apple gets to brag about how, okay, now we're in the vehicle market space, and they get it more profitably than all of their competitors would. So I think it'd be perfect for the brand. It's very unlikely to happen, I know, but I think people have a hard time getting excited for a lot of Apple products these days because everything is just slight iterations on things that already exist. A lot of people have a hard time getting excited for spatial computing with Apple Vision Pro because it ultimately just involves everybody looking kind of ridiculous with goggles on our faces. Yes, it's going to take a decade for that technology to get thinner and lighter and have all-day battery life, but even if it goes perfectly, it's still kind of creepy and dystopian that we're just supposed to be excited for a future where we all wear goggles all day. But the concept of making more mass-market, affordable electric vehicles for people who don't have home charging solutions solutions or people that want more range, because the Aptera, being so efficient, allows them to get vastly better range than all of their competitors with a battery pack that's much, much smaller. That way we bring more sustainable and practical transportation for the masses. I think that gets more investors excited, and it feels like a bit more optimistic, hopeful future to look forward to, instead of, wow, yay, we're gonna slap screens on our faces. At least that's why I'm most excited about Aptera more so than any other product category that is in development right now, including anything Apple's got going on. Sorry, it's just chat bots and large language models and spatial computing. I don't know. It doesn't excite me the way sustainable, economical transportation does, especially as electricity is getting more expensive and relying so much on oil has all kinds of problems involved. So, especially with Apple doubling down on the whole carbon neutral by 2030 thing, getting into the electric vehicle space, I think, would really go along with that long-term vision for making the planet more sustainable and making innovative, well-thought-out products that support that eventual goal. But what do you guys think? What other markets do you want Apple to enter into? You want more smart rings to replace our smart watches? Or do you want more folding phones? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. It seriously helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Sheep here. And check out Tailosive EV if you want to learn more about Aptera. I'll link a playlist in the description below where we basically answer any question or concern you can possibly think of. Have a great day.